She framed me with fake texts, and he believed her. Now I'm picking up the pieces of a life she tried to ruin. My sister is 2 years younger than me, and while she's always worn the mask of the sweet, supportive sibling, I've lived long enough to know better. She's competitive, not in an obvious, aggressive way, but in that subtle, performative kind of way that always leaves you second guessing yourself. Growing up, she'd pretend to admire something of mine, only to find a way to one up it. She was always in my shadow academically, but socially? She knew how to turn on the charm. People ate it up, including my husband. Don't get me wrong, my husband and I have a strong bond. We've been through a lot together, but lately, things have been strained. Work has been draining us both, and on top of that, we've been trying and failing to have a baby for over a year now. The stress of the doctor's appointments, the pills, the awkward timing, the hope followed by disappointment, it's been slowly wearing us down. We try not to let it show, but I can feel the cracks forming. And in the middle of all that, my sister starts hanging around more. At first, I chalk it up to boredom or loneliness. Maybe she just wants company? But then she starts showing up unannounced, knocking on the door without a call, or just letting herself in with that fake, surprised smile. Oh, I was in the area. That kind of thing. She starts making offhand comments, quiet little bombs she drops like they mean nothing. You sure he's not texting someone else? He's been a little quiet, hasn't he? She says it with a laugh, like it's a joke, like I'm supposed to laugh too. And I do, because the alternative is to ask her what the hell she's getting at, and I'm too tired for drama. I should have pushed back harder, but when you're emotionally worn thin, your defenses drop. You let things slide. You convince yourself you're being paranoid. You tell yourself it's just my sister. She's always like this. It's harmless. One evening, my husband and I got into a small fight. It wasn't even about anything serious, just a miscommunication about dinner plans or something equally mundane. But something about the way he snapped back, cold, clipped, completely uninterested in resolution, set off an alarm in me. He didn't argue the way he usually does when we're frustrated. There was no passion in it, no real anger, just detachment. After that, he started pulling away more. Shorter replies, longer silences, more late nights at work. And all the while, my sister kept visiting, kept smiling, kept watching me with those eyes like she knew something I didn't. And I, stupidly, kept brushing it all off. It happened on a Thursday. I remember because I was finally starting to feel a little better, like maybe the fog was lifting a bit. I had just gotten home from work when he sat me down in the living room, his face unreadable. His phone was in his hand. That should have been the first red flag. "Who is he?" he asked. I blinked. "What?" He didn't smile, didn't blink, just repeated, more clipped this time. "Who is he?" I thought he was joking. I even gave a short laugh. "What are you talking about?" Then he shoved the phone into my hands. Messages, screenshots, blurry, cropped. A few snippets of texts. Stuff like, "I miss you too," and "yesterday felt right." All pulled wildly out of context. I recognized some of them immediately. They were old texts between me and a friend from work, someone I'd leaned on emotionally during a rough patch months ago. It was completely innocent. No flirting, no boundaries crossed. But the way these were pieced together made it look bad. Really bad. "I didn't cheat," I said instantly, the panic rising in my throat. "This isn't what it looks like. You know me. You know me." He cut me off, jaw tight. "Your sister told me everything." I froze. "She saw the messages. She saw you with him, at a cafe. Said you were laughing, touching his hand. Said you've been meeting up behind my back for months." It felt like someone knocked the air out of my chest. "No," I said. "That's not true. None of that happened. She's lying." But it was too late. His mind was made up. I could see it in his eyes, the cold certainty, the heartbreak he was trying to hide under all that anger. "Why would your own sister lie to me?" he said. I had no answer for that. at least not one that would make sense to someone who still believed in her. So I just stood there, frozen, while he packed a bag, said he needed time, needed space, said he couldn't even look at me right now. And just like that, he walked out the door. I didn't cry right away. I think I was too stunned to feel anything. But once the shock wore off, the grief hit like a tidal wave. It wasn't just my marriage falling apart, it was betrayal layered on betrayal. My husband believed the worst about me without even asking for the full truth. And my sister, my own flesh and blood, had poisoned him against me. I tried calling him the next day, texted, left voicemails, told him I could explain everything, show him the full context. But he wouldn't respond. When he finally did, it was one line. I just don't know what to believe anymore. Every time I tried to defend myself, it only seemed to make things worse. He asked again, "Why would your sister lie?" And I realized, in his mind, she was the victim, the concerned sibling, the one who had the courage to tell the truth. And just like that, people started choosing sides. Mutual friends stopped reaching out. One even told me, awkwardly, over text, that they'd heard things and wanted to give me space. I knew what that meant. My sister hadn't just told him, she'd told everyone. Probably spun it as concern. Probably said she didn't want to say anything at first, but couldn't keep quiet while I hurt him. And the worst part? She was good at it. She knew exactly how to act shocked, heartbroken, disappointed. She played her role to perfection. Meanwhile, I was unraveling. I stopped sleeping, barely ate. Every time I closed my eyes, I replayed that moment in the living room. The accusation, the disbelief in his eyes, the way he walked out like I was a stranger. I felt like I was going insane. So I started journaling. It wasn't some grand plan. I just needed to get the words out of my head before they drowned me. I wrote down everything, every memory, every timeline, every message, every red flag I'd ignored. I wrote about how she'd been inserting herself into our life, about the subtle digs, about the fake concern. It didn't fix anything, but it helped me feel like I wasn't disappearing completely, because in the real world, the one outside the pages, it felt like I already had. I hit rock bottom, and then something in me snapped. Not in a dramatic way, just a quiet, icy shift. I was done being the victim in someone else's story. I started digging. First, I went back to those messages my husband had shown me. I knew they were taken out of context, but now I looked closer. One detail stood out. The phone interface wasn't mine. The font was different. The timestamps didn't match my actual message logs. So I pulled my phone records and cross-referenced them. Not just my texts, actual logs from the carrier. Dates, times, numbers. No record of half the messages she'd shown him. Then I got lucky. The cafe she mentioned, the one where she claimed she saw me with another man, I remembered the exact day she was talking about because I had been there, but with my coworker, Jenna. We were going over a presentation for a client. I called the cafe, asked, begged if they had security footage from that afternoon. By some miracle, they did. And guess what? The footage showed me and Jenna, plain as day. No mystery man, no hand-holding. Just two women, laptops open, talking over coffee. That's when it really hit me. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was deliberate. I went through an old drawer in my sister's room while she was at work. That's where I found the old phone. Dead battery, screen cracked, but the charger was still in the same drawer. Once it powered on, it was all there. The faked texts, the screenshots she'd made using fake contact names, even messages sent from spoofing apps that let you mimic any number. She'd literally been texting herself, making it look like I was cheating. When I confronted her, she didn't even try that hard to deny it. At first, she feigned ignorance. "What are you talking about? That's your phone, your texts." But when I laid the evidence out, the real message logs, the spoofing app, the cafe footage, her whole act crumbled. She looked at me, blinked once, and then, with the flattest, coldest smile I've ever seen, said, "I always get what I want." That was it. No apology, no shame, Just that one smug confession. And suddenly, everything clicked. All the weird visits, the fake concern, the way she'd inserted herself into every crack in our relationship. She didn't just want to ruin me, she wanted him. I sent everything to my husband, every screenshot, a copy of the phone records, the cafe footage, a screen recording of the fake message logs. No long message, no desperate explanation, just the facts. He called me 2 hours later. His voice was shaking. We agreed to meet at a quiet park we used to go to. When I saw him, he looked different. Not physically, just smaller. Like someone who'd finally realized how badly they'd screwed up. He sat on the bench, hands clasped, eyes glued to the ground. I don't even know what to say, he murmured. I feel like the biggest idiot alive. I didn't say anything. He finally looked up. You were telling the truth. The whole time. And I didn't listen. I let her twist everything, and I didn't even stop to question it. I was scared. And I let that fear drown out everything else. He looked wrecked, genuinely. And maybe part of me pitied him, but a bigger part of me was still ice. You believed her over me, I said quietly. You left without even asking me to explain. I know, he said, voice breaking. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I need you to know I never stopped loving you. I was just stupid and weak. I nodded, slowly. Yeah, you were. He reached for my hand. I didn't pull away, but I didn't squeeze back either. I wasn't ready to just fall into his arms and pretend it hadn't happened. I'd been humiliated, abandoned, slandered. By my own sister, yes, but also by the man who was supposed to know me. The worst part wasn't the betrayal. It was how easily he'd believed I was capable of betraying him. So I sat there with him in silence, the truth finally out, the damage still raw. And I asked the one question that kept ringing in my head. What would have happened if I hadn't proved it? For too long, I'd let things slide, brushed off the little digs, made excuses for her behavior, tried to keep the peace. But this wasn't just sibling rivalry. This was calculated character assassination. This was sabotage. And it had almost worked. So I told the truth to everyone. I sat my parents down and laid it all out. The faked texts, the spoofed numbers, the forged screenshots, the video from the cafe, and her own words. I always get what I want. At first, they were stunned. Then they were furious. Not at me, at her. My mother looked like she was going to be sick. My father couldn't stop pacing. They called her, demanded she explain herself. She doubled down at first, denied everything, said I was twisting it all, said I was trying to ruin her reputation because I was jealous. But this time, it didn't work. The evidence was too solid, the manipulation too obvious. My parents cut her off, financially, emotionally, everything. Told her to get help, told her not to come home. And then the rest followed. I didn't blast it all over social media, but word got out. Friends who had pulled away started asking questions. I showed them the proof, too. And then stories started surfacing, things I'd forgotten or never known. Apparently, this wasn't her first act of sabotage. An ex-friend of hers messaged me saying she once accused her roommate of stealing clothes just to get her kicked out of the apartment and take over the lease. An old boyfriend messaged my husband to say she had lied about being pregnant to keep him from breaking up with her. More stories trickled in. Same pattern, same chaos. Her little house of mirrors shattered. She tried to spin it, posted cryptic things online about being betrayed by the ones closest to her and surviving narcissistic abuse. But nobody bought it. People saw through her now. And unlike before, no one was rushing to comfort her. She spiraled. And I didn't feel sorry, not even a little. After everything blew up, my husband came back, not with flowers or empty promises, with honesty, with remorse, and with a quiet, desperate need to fix what he'd broken. He told me he was ready to do whatever it took. Therapy, transparency, accountability. No more pride, no more excuses, just work. And I believed him, not entirely, not blindly, but enough to try. I told him straight, You broke something. It won't heal overnight. Maybe not at all. But I'm willing to see if it can. We started therapy, weekly sessions, sometimes together, sometimes apart. The sessions were hard, uncomfortable, raw. We talked about trust, about fear, about the cracks that had already been there before my sister exploited them. We talked about how quickly love can turn fragile when doubt gets a foothold. He showed up. Every time. He answered every question. No defensiveness, no anger, just effort. And slowly, we began again. Not from scratch, but from truth. With no illusions, with boundaries, with honesty. It wasn't a fairy tale ending. It wasn't magical. But it was real. It was healing. And after everything I'd been through, that was enough. 6 months have passed. Some days it feels like a lifetime ago. Other days, it feels like the wound is still fresh. Not bleeding, but not fully healed either. We're rebuilding, slowly, carefully, like picking up the shattered pieces of something we both still care about, even if neither of us is sure what the final shape will be. There are still moments when I flinch, when his phone lights up unexpectedly, when he hesitates before answering a question, when something reminds me of that awful week when everything unraveled. But he's patient. He doesn't get defensive anymore. He listens. He asks how I feel. He owns his part in it, over and over, even when I don't ask him to. He never tries to rush my forgiveness, and maybe that's why it's starting to come, little by little. We go to therapy together every week. We're learning how to talk again, how to trust again. There's love that never left, but trust, that's something we're still working for. It's harder than either of us thought it would be, but we haven't given up, and that means something. As for her, my sister, she's gone. A few weeks after everything came out, she left town. Deleted her social media, blocked our numbers. She vanished, the way people do when they know the truth has finally caught up with them. I haven't heard from her since. No apology, no explanation, nothing. At first, I thought I wanted closure, some dramatic confrontation, some tearful confession. But now, I don't need anything from her. Not anymore. Her silence is its own kind of answer. My parents still struggle with it. My mom cries sometimes, wondering where she went wrong with her. My dad doesn't talk about her at all. It's like she's become this invisible weight on the family. Everyone feels it, but no one knows what to do with it. And me? I've learned something I wish I never had to learn. Sometimes the worst betrayal doesn't come from an enemy. It doesn't come with knives and shouting and obvious cruelty. It comes from someone who knows you, really knows you, and uses that knowledge to hurt you in the most precise, devastating way. It comes from someone who smiles while they twist the knife. And that kind of wound doesn't heal with apologies or explanations. It heals with time, with distance, with the decision to stop letting that person define you. I'm not fully healed. Neither is my marriage. But I'm still here. We're still here. And for now, that's enough.